Good afternoon, everybody, on this Wednesday, February 17th. Chris Allen live from the home studio with Sam Channel weather update. Winter storm, this next one continuing to push in here, and some of us are now seeing some snow. I'm seeing snow right outside my window now. It's light, but it's pretty much coming in as expected. Many people back to the west and southwest of us are seeing the snow now. I'll tell you one place you don't want to be is like Interstate 40 between Little Rock and Memphis. I mean, it's I-40 is a parking lot. I've been watching some of the video and some of the pictures coming out of that part of Arkansas, and I-40 is shut down. Yeah, you can't go anywhere through I-40 in Arkansas until you get west of Little Rock, and then maybe you get to move on. But here we go with the next round of winter weather. It has arrived, and we're starting to see the light snow now. And thank you to everybody who's joining me this afternoon. I know some of you are about to get off work here in about 30 minutes, so I wanted to catch you before you get home. And here's something I need to know. This would be very helpful to me if you would do this. In fact, I'm going to put it up on the screen here so that you can chime in. I want to make sure that these video updates are the most effective when they air, to try to capture the most people, not because I don't want likes necessarily. It's not like I'm growing some kind of audience or whatever. I want to be the most effective with these videos at the right time, because if you don't catch people at the right time, then you're just kind of wasting time, and I don't want to do that. So I need you to tell me, and I'm going to put it up on the screen here, and I'm going to put an email address that you can send me your reply. And you don't have to do this now, but I'm going to put it up where you can see it. Here we go, down at the bottom. What time is best to do these updates? So, it's going to be different for everybody. I get that. Some of you are going to say, I'd rather you do this early in the morning, or I'd rather you do it just before a big event, which I'm doing now. But when is a good time for you? When I can have your attention. So if you would just send me the email, there's the email pointing in the right direction there, down at the bottom, samchannelbg@gmail.com. That is the email that will get directly to me, and I will just kind of go through all of those. If you don't mind just taking the time to do that, that would help me tremendously. That way I can get pretty much a good sense of what people are thinking as to the right time to do these, because I know people work different shifts. The 5 o'clockers are getting ready to go home here in a few minutes. So I want to make sure that people are watching before they go home. But I'm also thinking about doing this maybe early in the morning before I get on the radio. So I'm on the radio from 6 to 10 at Sam. Is there a time early in the morning to do this on a regular basis? Or should I just wait till a big event like this and then just pop in? Because the last few of these I've done has been 4. There was one at 4. There was one at 5. There was one at 5:30. I did one at 6. I'm doing one today at 4:30. So send me an email. That way I'll have a hard copy of it. And you just go to that email, samchannelbg@gmail.com. Put in the best time for you, and then that way I can kind of gauge how to do this from now on. All right. To the weather and the winter storm at hand, which is happening right now. Let me take you to radar first so you can see what's going on. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is happening already. Look at this. Now, one thing I want to tell you, and I've learned a lot about radar interpretation. I took a couple of courses in this to learn from the very best on how to look at a radar, look at the returns, and really assess what's going on. I can tell you in some cases where we're seeing some of this lighter stuff up here, some of that is not reaching the ground because you have to remind everybody, and I have to remind myself, there is the radar. It's at Old Hickory Lake outside of Nashville, right there on the Davidson-Wilson County line, right there on the river and the end of Old Hickory Lake. So when it shoots up that beam, it's got to go through, it goes through a height tilt. Naturally, you know, the curvature of the earth, the beam goes out, but the curvature of the earth is what scatters that beam out. And then it has to go through very light precipitation, which we're seeing in the form of snow, mainly on this radar. So the truth about what's coming down to the ground doesn't always show here. What shows here is what that radar beam height is picking up at the time. And so what it's showing is out to the east of us from about the radar site out to southeastern portions of our viewing area. That would take you through a portion of Allen County, much of Monroe County, over toward Fountain Run, maybe up toward Burkesville and Cumberland County, a little tip of southeastern Adair, over that direction toward Somerset. You know, that darker blue line would indicate some heavier snow. Truth is, probably not happening at the moment, but given the location of the radar and the beam height and how far we're going out, you know, it's possible, but not all that's hitting the ground, I don't think. There may be some light flurries. You can correct me if you're in one of those areas to let me know otherwise. But as you get closer to the radar site, this reflectivity is going to show up a lot better. And here it comes around Dixon, Tennessee, Waverly, back that direction. And this, again, is right along. Here's Interstate 40 as it goes into Jackson, then down to Memphis. Yeah, it's there's some more moderate snow, maybe sometimes heavier snow that is occurring west of Nashville. And you can see the direction it's moving. It's moving right up into southern Kentucky. So this is what we're going to expect for the rest of the afternoon and into tonight. Snow at the beginning of this, and then maybe the mix on the backside. That's a total flip-flop from what we had with the previous storm. Remember, it started out as tons and tons of sleet and some freezing rain, and then we got a little bit of snow on the top of it. This is going to be just the opposite, which means, yes, we could see more snow than sleet, but there's going to be a component, I think, of some sleet in here, regardless of how all this turns out. Let me go to the Memphis radar. And you should see a pretty good bloom here of, yeah, there we go, of what is happening on down I-40 from Jackson to Memphis. Memphis now getting some heavy snow. Look, even into northwestern Mississippi, all the way down to Batesville, Mississippi. Here's Tupelo getting a winter mix right now. There's Muscle Shoals, one of my favorite places to go in Alabama. They're getting icy conditions right now with some sleet and freezing rain going on there. So again, look how far back this thing goes. I mean, we can even go and hop some other radars if you're wanting to get a really good assessment of just how expansive this thing is. Let's go to the Shreveport, Louisiana radar. And look at this. Monroe, Louisiana getting mixed precipitation. Shreveport getting freezing rain and sleet. Now we're looking into Texas, Tyler, Longview. They're getting more snow there. And then you go up to Texarkana and then back into Arkansas. This is where in fact, I'm curious as to Little Rock here. I know this is Little Rock radar. And as I mentioned, that traffic jam, I mean, look at the heavy snow. Here is I-40 coming out of Jackson, Tennessee to Memphis, then it goes through about Forest City, then down like this to Little Rock, and then it goes out west. Well, look, it is this area between Little Rock and Memphis that is where I-40 is pretty much closed. It's shut down. And there are trucks and miles of just nothing but trucks, tractor trailers, and cars lined up, and they cannot move. The snow is coming down so hard in that area that it's pretty much just closed off. So if you have any friends or family back that way into Arkansas, even West Tennessee around the Memphis area, well, they are getting hammered right now. So let's go back up here. I want to go back closer to home. Let's take a radar view out of Paducah. Paducah radar usually shows us what's coming our direction. And here we go. I mean, look at the snow from Metropolis down to Paducah, over towards Sikeston. And then you see Dyersburg, Tennessee here, Murray, Kentucky, Clarksville, Tennessee, Hopkinsville, Russellville. And here we are in Bowling Green. Now, again, the center of the radar is going to be back here. It is exactly right there, west of Paducah is the Weather Service, right there. A little bit out of town on US 60. Been there many times for conferences and seminars and things like that. So the beam, again, the beam is going up and hitting this moisture, but then it gets scattered as the earth begins to curve. So the earth, it's not a flat earth. Not that anybody said that. I heard somebody say, but it's a flat earth. No, it's not. The curvature of the earth takes that beam and scatters it out and spreads it out. The more you go away from the radar, and because of the density of snow, which is rather light, we're talking about ice crystals, then that's going to scatter this pattern of snowfall, and sometimes makes it difficult the further you get away from a radar as to what is actually falling on the ground. But the ground truth here in Bowling Green with the nearest radar, I mean, you could take your pick, really. Fort Campbell or the Nashville radar, either one will do you pretty good justice. And as you can see, it is snowing in Bowling Green, and I've got verification of that as I look out my window. So there you go. This is just the beginning of what's coming. And so just be ready for that, because it is going to continue to fall as we get into this evening. And then tomorrow we're going to look at this mix coming in, which could be problematic in that, you know, we already have this stuff on the ground. We got a little bit of melting today. I noticed that, you know, a lot of the trucks were out taking advantage of that little bit of sun that came through. Even when you saw cloud cover, there was just enough sun radiation to come through and do some melting where they had already scraped and put out some ice, or salt, I should say, on the ice. So, but we still have that layer of ice and sleet and then snow on top of it. Now we're going to pile maybe a couple of more inches of snow on top of that. Then tomorrow, a little bit more, maybe sleet on top of that. So we're going to see some pretty good stuff here. I think enough to cause more hazardous driving conditions and more problems and more headaches. Hopefully not any power outages, because that has been a real problem in Eastern Kentucky so far. As I mentioned, I think it was this morning on my radio show, I had a lady send me a Facebook message from Albany down in Clinton County. She said she is just now getting her power and her water back on. That's in Clinton County, Albany. So that's crazy. But it was much worse there than it was here. Okay, some of you commenting here. Bonnie, just started to snow in Cave City. Good. Snowing in Grayson County. Patricia, thank you. Bee Spring. Marlene, thank you. Holland, Kentucky, and Allen County. Starting to snow there. Some fat flakes. Yeah, this snow is going to be more have a little bit more water content to it. The last snow we had the other day was more powdery. It was good for sledding, and I saw some kids taking advantage of that. That's wonderful. I love seeing that. Take advantage of it while you can. This one's going to be a little bit wetter because we are doing the backward flip here. We've got, that warm air is coming in over the top of us about a half a mile up or so. The thickness of it, it kind of wobbles back and forth, but enough to keep it warm enough up there versus down here to make those flakes a little bit fatter, a little wetter as it comes down. So, but I think as we get much colder tonight and tomorrow, then it's going to get that a little more powder to it than the wet stuff. So we'll see how this plays out. And for some of you, it could go just all sleet and freezing rain tomorrow, especially to the east of us in the area. Okay, I want to get out of this, and I'm going to go to the latest briefing from the National Weather Service, which I always like to show you because it really does a good job of breaking down everything that you need to know over the coming next 24 hours or so as to what's going to happen with this system. So here we go. Here are the latest warnings and advisories from the National Weather Service, and I'll go through this so that everybody knows what's going on this afternoon through early Friday. So this is going to be another 24 to 36 hour event starting now. It starts now. Winter storm warning from Morgantown and Butler County to Russellville, Logan County, and pretty much every county east and in a slant off to the northeast of us, all the way up to Lexington, Berea, Somerset, Monticello, Middlesboro, Hazard, Jackson. You see all the Pikeville in there, even Ashland, Huntington, up to Ashland, Kentucky, Huntington, Charleston, West Virginia. Now, where you see the dark blue, that's a winter weather advisory. So once you get up past LaRue County into E-Town, in Hardin County, Louisville, Frankfort, then down the parkways, Bluegrass and Western Kentucky parkways into Ohio County, Grayson County, then back toward Madisonville, Dawson Springs, Western Kentucky, Paducah, Mayfield, Murray. All of that is the winter weather advisory. That's where you're going to get less in the way of snow and maybe more of a mixture eventually. You're getting some snow now, but maybe not as much as what we're looking at in this pink shaded area from Bowling Green east and northeast. It's, again, just as I mentioned earlier, it's a flip-flop. You could take this map and turn it upside down or turn it long ways to sideways, and it would be just exactly the opposite of what we had with the last system. Okay, here's the timing. We know it's snowing now. Verification of that as I look out the window, and many of you have already commented you're getting snow now. So it's happening this afternoon. I said it would happen sometime after the lunch hour, afternoon time, and it's pretty much on schedule. Light snow showers, that's what we're getting now, moving in from the southwest. Little or no snow accumulation before sunset. Most of this that's going to come in that I showed you on radar back into western Tennessee, Arkansas, even back into Louisiana and Texas, that is where the heavier stuff is going to come. So the heaviest stuff is still a long way off. But tonight and during the overnight hours, accumulating snow for most of the area. I think everybody stays snow for the beginning of this round. The what we call the thermals, where we look at different temperature at different height of elevation, vertical. Well, there's some vertical velocity that's included in that, a little bit of wind shift. I don't want to get too technical with you guys because it's like, what are you saying? And I don't say those words to try to impress you. I'm just trying to tell you that there is a lot that goes into this. I alluded to it yesterday that the atmosphere is in layers, and you have to take those layers one by one. And even then, as we saw with the last system, sometimes you just can't get it exactly right. Something is going to throw you a surprise. And there's always surprises with these kind of systems. And that was a big surprise the other day. We didn't get as much snow as we thought, even though those individual layers in the atmosphere of the data that was coming in was telling us certain things. You sit there and go, okay, 1 + 1 is 2. Then add another 3, and that's 2 + 3 is 5. And you do all the math and you subtract and do all that. I mean, I was never really good at math anyway. So there's a component of all this that really throws me off. Therefore, some of the misses that I've had in weather forecasting, to be truthful, but it's all part of it. It's almost like playing golf. You get out there and you're not going to hit a hole in one every time you go, but it's the thrill of the game that gets you out there just to see how close you can get it. And people, sometimes put us on too high of a pedestal thinking we've got to get it right every single time, but it's almost impossible to do that. In fact, it is impossible. So we do our best to decipher and determine and distinguish how the different layers of the atmosphere are going to put all this together. And that's the forecast based on what we know, what we've seen, what's happening right now, and determining the outcome. And it's not always going to be right. So with that caveat, I'll move on. Tonight, snow, freezing rain line pushes into south central Kentucky toward daybreak. So we will get snow tonight and maybe a couple of inches of snow. I'll talk more about amounts, which again is a questionable thing here in a minute. Now, the Weather Service in Louisville is saying 2 to 4 inches of snow in the winter storm warning area. That includes southern Kentucky. 1 to 2 inches of snow in the winter weather advisory area, which was the blue counties I showed you north of us and west of us. That's their take on what they see looking at all the data for now. Tomorrow, precipitation type, we talked about this yesterday if you were with me, could bounce around between snow, sleet, and freezing rain for much of the day here in south central Kentucky. So don't be surprised if it's snowing and then all of a sudden you hear little pellets of ice hitting your window. Well, that would be sleet. Then there could even be this little bit of light rain that pops in but freezes on the ground because it's cold. So that would be freezing rain. Additional snowfall around 1 inch in the warning area, in addition to this that I showed you that's going to come in tonight, add another inch possible onto that. Then Thursday night into Friday morning, wintry mix will start to taper down from west to east through Thursday evening. Light snow showers, I think, could linger into Thursday night. Even on Friday, I'm looking at, usually with these systems, we have a day after the event where it stays cloudy for the most part, and there are leftover flurries. Okay. Timing confidence is medium with this, but the amount of snow, as you'll see here, we're this is our best guess. And I concur with what the Weather Service is showing here. But again, I want to caution you, this is not going to be a for sure set in stone ordeal. You've got the measurements up here, but again, when you look, your eye is immediately drawn to the darkest area, which is going to be southeast of Lexington, I-64 toward Moorhead, Huntington, Ashland area, down south, 75 toward Somerset, London, Hazard, Jackson, Kentucky, maybe a little bit more where, now remember, there are hills over here, hills and then eventually mountains. So the higher elevation, the better the chance of getting some higher elevation snows in the order of 6 to 8. But that even is conditional. Here for Bowling Green, we're kind of in this lighter shade of blue. which would be more into the 3, maybe 4-inch range. And then notice there's a really tight cutoff here, almost in line with the Bluegrass and Western Kentucky parkways. West of that area, we're talking 2 to 3, and then an inch or less as you go up the Ohio River out toward the Mississippi River, southern Illinois, Western Kentucky, on up to Louisville. So those locations that picked up a lot of snow last time are not going to pick up as much this time. We're going to be on more of the receiving end of the higher amounts of snow, and that's coming tonight until things change over to that mix tomorrow. The black shaded area, this is not, I mean, you could still look at this as a bust potential. There's always a bust potential. Remember, I said there's always a surprise of some kind in these storms. Whether it's the timing, the amount of moisture, the type of moisture, there's going to be a surprise in there. Greatest uncertainty in types and amounts are in that black zone, black dotted zone, which includes Bowling Green, Clarksville, E-Town, Lexington, and on off to the north and east. So accumulating snow, likely for most of the region tonight. You can almost count on that. Best potential for 4 inches or more, central and eastern Kentucky, and that's going to be more in east of Bowling Green and right there through Lexington, Somerset, Monticello, Jackson, blah, blah, blah. Here for us, I still think 2, maybe 3. There could be some higher amounts of 4 as you go out the Cumberland Parkway. So once you get into Barron, Metcalfe, Adair, those counties, yeah, you could probably see closer to 4 inches of snow if this plays out the way we see it. But again, remember, surprise, surprise, Gomer Pyle, surprise, surprise. There's always, I'm going to start calling it the Gomer Pyle factor. It's either going to be citizens arrest or it's going to be surprise, surprise. So there you go, to those that understand that reference. Then we go to a mix or change. It could go either way. It could go all sleet or freezing rain, or just a mix with the snow to freezing drizzle, snow, and sleet Thursday morning along and south of the parkways. Mainly they're talking about Bluegrass and Western Kentucky Parkway. So we would be in that zone. What we don't know, as I always, and they always say, we don't know exact precipitation amounts, especially along the north edge of the winter storm warning, which is where we are. Northward extent of wintry mix Thursday morning. We're not sure how far north that's going to go. So that we would be talking then about the folks closer to the Ohio River. Confidence level and impact, that's always going to be high in these kind of events, as we've seen with traffic issues, slide-offs, people getting stuck. Yeah, that's going to happen. The other impacts, power outages, yeah, that's a possibility. As I just told you, the story of the lady in Albany who just this morning had her power and water restored. Now, she may have been a unique situation, but there's still tons of power outages out here in eastern Kentucky from the other storm, and even the storm before that. Still power outages. We're okay here, but if we get a little bit more freezing rain, that's going to be when the red flag goes up. If you get freezing rain, if it comes down as water, as raindrops, then it freezes on contact. That's when we're going to worry about power outages. Sleet usually doesn't offend in that way. Snow, if it gets wet enough and packs enough on trees and power lines, yeah, then we could be looking at power outage, possibly. Confidence level on the precipitation types, yeah, low to medium, because we don't know what exactly is going to fall where. Confidence level on amounts, medium. So actually, that's gone up a little bit. They're a little bit more confident on the different types. As we said here and showed you, snow seems to be the better chance for us here in southern Kentucky rather than freezing rain and sleet, although there may be some tomorrow morning. Now, Friday night into Saturday morning, we're going to go back into single-digit temperatures. We experienced that the last couple of nights when we got down to 9, 10 above, things like that. Well, here we go again. This is late Friday night, early Saturday morning. Another punch of cold air comes in before things start to warm up. And Saturday morning, as you see, possible single-digit low temperatures, maybe around 10, 9 or 10 in Bowling Green, maybe a low of 9 in Hopkinsville, 10 in Campbellsville, E-Town at 8. Yeah, so with the snowpack on the ground and another shot of cold air as skies begin to clear, then, yeah, expect some single-digit temperatures. And that can be problematic if you're out and about around that time. Okay. So we've got the storm upon us. The winter storm is happening as the snow it's a beautiful snow as it's coming down. I wish I need another camera so I can just like take another camera and show you out my window what it looks like. But it's beautiful. It really is beautiful coming down, and some of you are seeing some of those bigger flakes, which is again showing the amount of water content in the snowflake itself. And so this may be a little bit wetter snow and then turn to a little bit of a drier snow as we get. There's going to be a little bit of a dry slot again with this one like we had with the last one, and that's what cut along with the snow, or along with the sleet and freezing rain last time, that cut down on our snow potential big time. Dry slot of air wrapping around the low pressure system, and it just cut it off. So that could happen again. And if that happens, then all the totals will come down. But as I said, there's always a surprise in these winter storms, and the surprise could be we get more than we expect, or we get more sleet than we expect, or we get more snow than we expect, or we get less than we expect. This is one of the hardest things to forecast. Really, you ask any forecaster, it's the hardest thing to forecast, to get it exactly where, when, and how much. It's just difficult. Thunderstorms, tornadoes, flash floods, things like that, you can see them on the radar. You know where they're going to go, and you know what they're going to do, and you can warn people, and it is what it is. But these winter storms, where all you have to have is about 5,000 feet up or so, maybe a half a mile or so above you, it's just that little bit of warm air coming in, and that changes the precipitation. Everything comes down as, first of all, way up about 30,000 feet in the air. It's all snow, even in the summertime. Bet you didn't know that. Yeah, it comes down as snow, ice crystals in large part. Then it hits all of that warm air, that big warm air layer, and it all turns to rain. And then it hits the ground as rain because we're warm all the way through the column of air. But in the wintertime, when you've got cold air at the ground, you've got cold air above us, it's coming down as snow, then it hits a warm air layer, and then that snow changes to a little bit of rain. It goes back to a liquid instead of a solid. Then it hits the cold ground, and depending on how shallow or deep the cold air is near where we are, then it could turn back to snow, or it could turn to, if the warm air layer is thicker, it could turn to ice, sleet, or freezing rain. It comes down as a raindrop and doesn't freeze until it hits the surface. So you've got all of that to contend with and try to figure out just who's going to get what. It's like, phew. It's hard. I'm not making excuses. You ask anybody that forecasts the weather, and they will tell you that. That's why sometimes it's like, well, that's not what I thought it was going to be. Well, guess what? Me too. It is what it is. All right. Let me show you the forecast I've got for tonight. It's just simply snow, and lows holding in the mid-20s. We're in the mid-20s right now. We should stay there all night tonight as the snow comes down. We've got a perfect layer here of enough cold air. The warm air hasn't come in yet. So the cold air is kind of all the way through here. And so we're going to get this nice, gentle snow that we're seeing, and it could pick up and become a little heavier later on. But then as we get on into tonight and into tomorrow, well, the forecast changes to this snow to mix with highs in the low 30s. This is where that warm air then starts to penetrate the atmosphere over us, again, up about a half a mile or so, usually is where it sits. It'll come in because that warm air lifts and goes over because it's lighter. Cold air is condensed and it's heavier, so it stays near the ground, and that warm air comes in over and changes that precipitation to either sleet or freezing rain as it hits the ground. Where the ground is cold, then it freezes. So we think that's what's going to happen tomorrow when we see this changeover. Just exactly how much and who gets what is still the big question mark. Just be prepared for it wherever you are. You should be prepared now because you've had really 2 winter storms that you've dealt with already. This is number 3. I was mistaken yesterday when I put up round 2. This is actually round 3 because you have to go back last week, end of last week when we had the first one. So you should be well prepared in case of an emergency. You need some alternative heat. You need, just in case you lose power, power up your devices, your phone, your iPhone, your iPad, whatever you have. Make sure you've got a heat alternative. Make sure the kids are taken care of, elderly, pets. I shouldn't have to tell you this. And it really, when I do these updates, I don't want to get all politically correct. That's not me. I'm thinking, the people that are watching this have the sense to know you've got some common sense. I'm not going to dumb it down. I'm not. I used to have to do that. I'm not going to do that anymore. And that's not being rude or mean. It's just you have the common sense to know how bad it can get and what you need to do for your family to prepare. You shouldn't be asking me questions like, well, where can I get a heat source? Where can I get a snow shovel? Who's going to pull me out? Who's going to bring me food? I know somebody's going to, I shouldn't even said that. Somebody's going to take this and go, look how rude Chris Allen is. No, it's just use common sense. Okay. That's all you have to do. Take care of things that are living and breathing and make sure they're okay. Make sure you're okay. And then if your power goes out or whatever, you've got blankets, you've got extra layers of clothes, you got somebody maybe you can go next door and be with where they've got a fireplace or another source of heat to stay warm. So anyway, I'll try to get off my soapbox because sometimes I'll get started and I get in trouble from somebody. Anyway, okay, so it's 10 after 5. I'm going to leave it at that. Any questions from you guys? Any questions at all? Let me peruse, scan some of your comments here. I want to make sure I answer any questions. To keep the water running. Yeah, that's a good idea. Just in case. Snowing in Glasgow. Jamie. All right, here's a good one. Am I going to do the spring and summer storms this year? Absolutely, Jamie. When I've committed to this, I'm committed to it. You will be able to count on me during times of severe weather in the spring and the summer or whenever it happens, severe storms, tornadoes, whatever it may be. I've done it pretty much all my life and I'll keep doing it. Now that I've got these tools, like you'll see up in the corner there, it says Restream. That's the software that I'm using with the camera to be able to show you maps. And I've got access to all kinds of maps and stuff. Now, here's the thing I don't want you to do, though, and I'll put this in there so that you understand where I'm coming from. I want to do this as a service to you guys. I feel like I'm a servant. I have a servant's heart. I want to serve you with this information, but I want to make it what you need it to be. Okay. So you've got to tell me. That's why I put up that email address, and I'll put it back up here. Not only what, for you to put what time is it best to do these updates on an ongoing basis, samchannelbg@gmail.com. Just send me that as an email. And along with that, if you haven't sent it already, put in there your thoughts of what you like to see. Maybe even how long you want these updates to be. Should they just, I'm afraid of a lot of things. Well, maybe I should rephrase that. I'm mindfully aware of things like, how long do I talk? How long should these updates be? Do people want to hear me talk, or do they want to see more graphics? Do they want me to do a lot more explanation? Is it understandable? Does it make sense? The thing I cannot guarantee, because I'm not on television anymore, is to be there the instant something happens. I will do my best to do that. At the TV station, I had to be on call all the time. And that got to be that's kind of what wore me out, because I had to plan my life around the TV station and whatever the weather was doing. So I always felt like I had to have this with me all the time. And anytime I saw something pop up, certain county under a watch or certain county under a warning, I felt like it was my obligation, my duty to my sorry. You know me, I'm going to be this way. I'm going to be, okay, it's serious, then I'm funny. It was my duty to do that. All right, I'd tell my wife, I'd tell Sheila, all right, I got to go to the station. Okay, see you after a while. I'm less about that now. It's more about, I need to relax a little more. It's been good for my health to relax a lot more, to be with my family a lot more. I have another grandson on the way next month. I can't forget about that. I've got one right now, Caleb Tater, who's 7, and I pick him up from school when they have school. And I've got a lot of things that I like doing, traveling with Danny Wilson, as we did yesterday, and wanting to get out of town when I feel like I want to get out of town and just go on a trip. I don't want to be tied down to constantly having to do this in a way to where it just takes my life over. I've done that for 30 plus years. So now I want to do this as a service to you. If you enjoy it and if you like it, then I need you to tell me what you like or don't like. Tell me what you don't like about it. I watched part of my last 2 videos that I did, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that a lot, and I'm like, golly, I say a lot. As a broadcaster, as a professional broadcaster who's been in radio and television for over 40 years, I should not be doing that. But I'm trying to just get my thoughts, because this, believe it or not, this is a different platform. It's different in that I know that I've got more time to talk and someone's not going to stop me. I've been so used to being on television where it's like 3, 2, 1, cue, and I'm like, and somebody's in your ear. I always had this little device in my ear where somebody would say, you got 10 seconds, 9, 8, 7. And I'd have to hurry up with my thought and try to finish it before we go to a commercial. That's what I'm used to. This is just me. And it's nobody telling me. There's no limits. I can go as long as I want. I can say what I want, do what I want. And I'm just sitting here going, actually, this is more nerve-wracking than what I'm used to. Even on radio. I mean, I've got a format I follow every morning. looking at my songs. I've got commercials to play, and they've got to play within a certain time. And I got to get the news on and everything else. And so it's structured. This is not structured. This is just wide open. So in a way, I'm not afraid of it. I love technology. I've always been a nerd. So I'm comfortable with that. But it's just, I don't want to get on here and drone on and to have you where you just tune out and go, well, he's just going to keep talking. And he likes to hear himself talk and he thinks he's something and blah, blah, blah. I want it to serve you. I want it to be something where you, every time I come on and do one of these, I want you to get something out of it. Okay. You leave thinking, wow, now I know what's going on. That's what I want. So send me that email. Best time to do the updates, how I should do them, what you want to see, what you don't want to see, what you don't want to hear. I wish you would do more. What? You got to tell me, or I won't know. Okay. So thank you all. I'm going to leave it at that. I went another 5 minutes. See, I droned on for another 5 minutes. And as I look at the numbers, I'm losing viewership. That's okay. You're in here, and that's all it should matter. Thank you all so much. Watch out for the snow this evening. Hazardous driving conditions, all that stuff should go without saying, but I do say it just to cover myself. Just be careful out there, especially late tonight, early tomorrow. You may wake up to a different scene in the morning with more snow than what you've got right now. Okay. Have a great evening. God bless you. And I'll see you on the radio tomorrow morning. I invite you to listen to me no matter where you're watching now. Even if you can't pick up Sam 100.7 on your radio, it is streaming live anywhere in the world. BowlingGreenSam.com, and also on the TuneIn app. Just look for Sam 100.7. That's on the FM dial, 100.7, or BowlingGreenSam.com. That way you can listen on your phone, on your iPad. It doesn't matter. Your computer desktop, it'll pick it up. Okay? God bless.